We will start with Everton versus Bournemouth and take a look at the betting that we currently have at matchbook.com. These are all Sunday 4:30 games, every game kicking off at the same time. It's Everton 1.49 on Matchbook, Bournemouth 7.4. Looks quite big. We'll get into that in a second. Draw is available at 4.9. Both teams to score yes is 1.9 with no at the underdog in that market at 1.97. The Asian handicap sees Bournemouth get 1.25 goal head start at 1.82, and the total for this line is 2.5. Now, Mark O'Hare, you filed your Matchbook Insights column this morning and a rare foray into the Premier League action. So I'm guessing this is a confident shout here, Everton versus Bournemouth.
Confident in the sense that I think the price is wrong, so I have to get involved in that sense. But I thought Everton being priced up as favourites to win away at Wolves last weekend was a nonsense, really. But I actually think the current price on Everton to beat Bournemouth on Sunday kind of trumps a lot, really. To see Everton sub 1.5 for any Premier League match, regardless of opposition or venue, to me is laughable, really. They may well win this match, but betting isn't always about what you think might happen. It's about playing the probabilities around events occurring. And in this instance, the market gives them a 67% chance of winning, which is incredibly high considering where they're at right now. So I've been quite positive about some of their more recent performances, in fairness, but the cold facts are Everton are not winning football matches consistently. It's 1 win in 10, it's 2 wins in 12, it's 4 wins in 17 under Sean Dyche since the start of February. Just 4 clean sheets in that 17-game sample, and they scored multiple goals just 4 times. Now, my model, which takes into account expected goals and shot data, has Everton around 2.08 to win this game. That's without sort of factoring in the motivational aspect. But for me, the decrease from 2.07 to 1.49 is just drastically over the top. So just because Everton need to win this match doesn't make them suddenly vastly superior to the Everton team we've seen over the previous 37 matches. Everton needed to win last week away at Wolves, and they required that bundled stoppage time equaliser in the 99th minute. Everton needed to win the week before and didn't. Everton needed to win the week before. Okay, they beat Brighton 5-1, but that's a complete freak result. And you could say Bournemouth have nothing to play for, but Wolves didn't have anything to play for really last week either, and Everton failed to beat them. So obviously this match takes place at Goodison, which will kind of give Everton an extra leg up, if you like. But actually, if you look at Everton's campaign, they've scored the fewest home goals in the Premier League this season, just 15 and 18. And only Southampton and Leicester have won fewer home matches. Everton have won 5 times in 18 at Goodison, yet they're 149 to win here. We talk about this being a must-win scenario. The truth is it's not absolutely essential either. They could survive with a draw or even a defeat, depending on results elsewhere. But I think the key factor for me here in opposing Everton being such strong favourites is Calvert-Lewin's fitness and availability. It looks very likely he's going to be missing, which would be an absolute hammer blow, I think, for Everton going forward. He has been a real catalyst for some of their more enterprising efforts lately. I think I have real concerns about their attacking ability without him. But going back to the main point here, which is the price, Everton are 149 to win this match. Everton have been odds-on favourites once all season. They were 1.89 at home to Nottingham Forest in August. So that's about a 20% increase on the odds this weekend, and that was 9 months ago. The shortest price since August was 2.26 when they hosted Fulham in April, and they were stuffed. If you look at Everton's price, they've only been below 2.5 4 times all season. They're 1.49 here. It's mental, really. You look at Bournemouth's price and Bournemouth's odds, they've only been bigger price against Man City home and away, as well as away trips to Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, United, Brighton and Arsenal. They're going away to Everton, not a team nowhere near the calibre of those previous clubs I mentioned. Their record against the bottom 6 this season reads 6 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. They've already won at Forest, Leicester and Southampton. They lost by a 1-goal margin away at Leeds as well. So they're capable, obviously reliant on them having to turn up and put their best foot forward. But I think they will be capable of being competitive in this match. And ultimately it comes down to the price and line, which I just think is just too far. It's factoring in the motivational aspect far too much. And just on Everton again, they beat Arsenal in Dyche's first game. They've since taken 15 points from 16 league games, which is relegation form. That's despite playing Leeds, Forest, Wolves, Palace and Leicester, teams in and around the area they're in. They've already required 3 equalisers in the 89th minute or later since the beginning of April. They could easily have been relegated already without them. So, I'm quite happy to take Bournemouth plus 1.25 on the Asian handicap. I put it up about 1.88 or 1.86. So it's been chipped in there to 1.82 already. But this bet has actually made money in 35 of Everton's 37 league games this season. Only twice have they won by 2 goals or more. We require Bournemouth to win, draw, or just lose by 1 goal exactly to actually make money from this selection. So, yeah, I'm going to put my faith in Bournemouth being competitive at Goodison Park this weekend, just because Everton are far too short.
Okay, yeah, fascinating case for Bournemouth there. And Adrian, you're in agreement now. You're on the beach radar. It tends to be very good throughout the 4 top leagues in England. Where are Bournemouth right now? Because one thing, like, they have lost 3 in a row, so I guess the market is maybe over factoring that, but it's still a factor nonetheless. That the motivation factor here that Bournemouth don't need to do anything in this game. They're on 39 points, of course, and safe.
I kind of disagree, because no manager ever wants to lose the last 4 matches of a season before they'll go on the summer holidays. That's miserable. Even though they are safe, even though they're celebrating to a degree their Premier League survival, I think the fact that they've lost their last 3 actually works against Everton here. So I think Gary O'Neill will have been disappointed by that and frustrated with his players, and I think he'll have got them bang up for this game. I think he wants to go out on a high. Every team, every individual wants to go out, final game of the season, with a win. So that feel-good factor can sort of take you away on your summer holidays. So there's no chance that Bournemouth will have zero motivation in this game. Just doesn't happen in English football. We're very honest like that, and I think that Everton are in for a tough game. And let's face it, Bournemouth are a bogey team for Everton. If you look at the last 4 meetings, all Bournemouth wins, and Bournemouth have scored at least 3 goals in all 4 of those meetings. So they love playing against Everton. Will they get 3 or more this time? Well, who knows? I wouldn't write off the prospects. There's a lot of pressure on Everton here. They're low scorers. We know that, the Toffees. From a tactical point of view, I do give Everton a very strong chance from set plays. Bournemouth have been dreadful from them all season. They've conceded 16 corners, 21 set-piece goals overall. That's the most of any team in the division. And I looked at Everton. Everton have only scored 7 set-piece goals, but their XG is up at 15. So they've actually been, they're very dangerous from those situations. So I think that's an avenue they can use to hurt Bournemouth. But with Calvert-Lewin out, I'm struggling to see where they're going to score the goals here. McNeil's been in good form. We know that. Iwobi too. But I think this is a tough game. Everton, of course, they could win it. Of course, they could rise to the occasion. But I think Bournemouth can absolutely make this competitive. And for that reason, I've gone with the same bet. I had the same stats as Mark. 1 home game all season, this bet lands, plus 1.25, or all but 1 home game. So the Everton beat Palace 3-0. Apart from that, they've not beaten anyone at home by 2 or more goals. Away from home, that win at Brighton was their only win by 2 goals or more. So I think they're very, very unlikely to win this by 2 goals or more, which means we get paid out if we take this bet on. So Bournemouth plus 1.25 for me is absolutely one of the picks of the weekend.
Okay, Adrian and Mark are in agreement. Buyer beware. Bournemouth plus 1.25 goal at 1.82. Miguel, set this game up for us from an Everton perspective. They obviously have the stadium coming the season after next. It's a massive game for Everton. It's inconceivable this team goes down, but they were so close to relegation last season. Can they keep just staying up in the final couple of games of the season?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 2 massive elements to it. One is obviously that history you've just mentioned, having been relegated in 72 years. The other, I suppose, is the medium-term future of the club. Now, that has been eased a little bit with the news of investment 25% in the last few days. But for a club like Everton, this is about something bigger. It's about the pride of staying in it. And there's an interesting thing here as well, is where if Everton and Leeds go down, it will mean the 3 teams that go down, although this doesn't actually apply to Southampton, they'll have won more titles between them than has ever happened in the Premier League. The most is 11, so this would take it to 12. Which, if I just kind of rather maybe seamlessly get up the laptop page, actually have the year it happened, the 11. That was in 2016. But yeah, and I think that indicates a stake. I mean, because I suppose it's not just about the frantic nature today. It's the size of the clubs, all of whom can claim, I suppose, to be almost the biggest in England, outside the splintering Big Six. Although all of them, of course, could point to the fact that they've won the title more recently than Tottenham Hotspur. And Everton would have a long time argued they were the biggest of all of those outside that group, if not some in it. They were one of the big five that pushed for the Premier League in the first place. So there's all sorts swirling around this that will feed into the day, as well as just basic pride. And I completely agree with that. I mean, one of the things I've been thinking about, like I've obviously done a big piece ahead of the weekend about this, about the day itself. And when you go into the game, yeah, sure, on paper, it looks like Everton have the most forgiving game. It's a Bournemouth team in mid-table. Dyche seems to have had the best connection with the squad out of the three managers, although we'll come to that as well. But of course, one of the reasons the teams are in this situation is because you can't guarantee anything with them, as Mark has laid out. And also, this is a big thing on a day like this, and why it kind of feeds into manic elements happening. So, like, I've been talking to a few people, obviously, that are involved in days like this, one of them including Gareth Farley, who scored one of the goals that kept Everton in the league or in the Premier League on the final day in 1998. And one of the most common strands was that the main memories of the day is always when suddenly the stadium goes, especially if you're at home, the stadium goes a bit quiet, because then they realize that something has happened elsewhere. And so many players talk about it as directly affecting performance. And I think it means whatever about how Bournemouth approached this game, the first goal on this day could be so decisive and have a chain reaction. And again, it feeds into this kind of thing we've long discussed about the games at the bottom. You're never going to more acutely feel on a day like this, and that it does create that back and forth, that chain reaction, where suddenly, because of the desperation involved, the urgency, and like that's one thing about the final day as well. It can almost feel like you're intruding on grief a little bit. That's what's being shown, and because of that, I think, and I completely agree with the lads, but I'm tempted to go for both teams to score, just because of that potential rain action. Also because of what Adrian has said is about, it doesn't feel like Bournemouth are going to lay off, or that they're on the beach just yet. And there's a bit of spike to O'Neill as well. So I'm going to go for that.
Yeah. So Miguel's going for both teams to score. Yes, going to lock in Bournemouth plus 1.25 for a podcast pick at 1.82. But Miguel's laid the other side you can potentially go with there. But look, quick update in the table. Everton are 33 points, Leicester City 31, and Leeds 31. As Miguel alluded to there, two of those three big clubs will be relegated, which usually on the final day might be 1 from 3, 1 from 4. This is going to be pretty seismic on Sunday.